When you picture a world-class athlete stepping onto the field, or a legendary musician walking on stage, or even a CEO preparing for a high-stakes negotiation, what do you think about? Do you imagine nerves, sweaty palms, racing thoughts? Maybe you think they're fearless, immune to stress, wired differently than the rest of us. But here's the hidden truth. Even the best in the world feel the same waves of nerves, anxiety, and pressure that you and I do. The difference isn't that they don't feel it. It's that they've built rituals that transform all that energy into fuel. And I'll show you how to steal those rituals for your own life. Because one small pre-performance routine could be the difference between freezing under pressure and stepping into your highest potential. Think about this. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps was once told by his coach to play the tape. Every night, he visualized his perfect swim. The dive, the strokes, the turns, even the way water would splash against his goggles. And when race day came, his brain had already lived through victory thousands of times. That's why, when his goggles filled with water during the Olympic finals, he still broke the world record. He had rehearsed that moment so often that even disaster became just another lap in the pool. That's the power of ritual. And there's one ritual in particular that I'll share later in this video that might surprise you, because it's something so simple you can do it before your next meeting, exam, or date. But before we dive into it, let me ask you something. What's the first thing you do before a stressful event? Do you check your phone, bounce your leg nervously, overthink every possible outcome? Be honest. Drop it in the comments. I'm really curious what your default ritual is right now. And don't worry, no judgment, I've probably done worse. Here's why I want you to answer. If you're not deliberate about rituals, your body will create unhelpful ones for you. And those rituals will hold you hostage. World-class performers know this, and they hijack it. They deliberately choose anchors that flip their nervous system from panic into power. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most people think success under pressure is about willpower, about forcing yourself to stay calm. But that's wrong. Willpower is like a battery that drains fast. Rituals are like plugging into a generator. That's why Serena Williams bounces the ball exactly the same number of times before a serve. Why Usain Bolt stretches and strikes his iconic pose before exploding off the blocks. These aren't quirks, they're neural switches. They trick the brain into saying, I've been here before. I know this script. I'm safe to perform. And if you've ever wondered why some people crumble while others thrive in the exact same situation, this is why. It's not talent, not even confidence, it's ritual. The way you prime your body and mind before the spotlight hits determines whether you break or break through. Here's where I'll set up a loop for you. There's one pre-performance ritual used by Navy SEALs before missions that's so simple it almost sounds silly. But research shows it can literally drop your cortisol levels in under 2 minutes. I'll tell you what it is in a bit, but first let's talk about why rituals even work at all. Your brain is basically a prediction machine. When you're about to perform, your nervous system asks, is this safe or dangerous? Rituals send a safety signal. They turn chaos into pattern, fear into focus. That's why NBA players tie their shoes the same way, why speakers pace backstage, why musicians breathe in rhythm before stepping out. It's not superstition, it's neurology. And here's the secret. You don't have to be an athlete or artist to use this. You can build your own pre-performance rituals for work presentations, exams, first dates, even daily workouts. The key is not what the ritual is, it's how consistently you do it. Pause with me for a second. Comment still watching if you've made it this far, because I want to know who the real ones are paying attention. Most people drop off by now, but the fact that you're still here means you're serious about upgrading your performance. Let's bring this back to you. Imagine walking into your next big moment. Your heart is racing, your hands are shaky. You have two choices. You either spiral and tell yourself, I'm nervous, I'm scared. Or you flip it and say, this is energy, this is fuel, this is my body preparing me to rise. The ritual you choose in that moment literally rewires your reality. Which brings me to something that secretly kills your performance under pressure: randomness. If you don't control your state, the state controls you. That's why rituals matter. They're not about control in the outside world, they're about control in the inside world. And I'll give you an example that might shock you. Kobe Bryant, before every game, had a 20-minute meditation and visualization routine. He'd picture not just the perfect shots, but the missed ones too. He conditioned his brain to respond calmly to both success and failure. That's why when he was in the final seconds of a game, with millions watching, he seemed unshakable. Because he had already played it out in his mind, over and over. And if you're thinking, okay, but I'm not Kobe, I don't play in front of millions, let me stop you right there. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a basketball court and a job interview. Stress is stress. Pressure is pressure. Rituals work everywhere. By the way, don't just watch this passively. Take notes. Write down one ritual you want to test this week. Maybe it's 3 deep breaths before a call. Maybe it's shaking out your body. Maybe it's repeating a phrase. I promise, the act of writing it will make it stick more than just hearing me say it. And if you're wondering about that Navy SEAL ritual I mentioned earlier, the one that drops cortisol fast, here's the first part of it. Tactical breathing. It's a box pattern. 4 counts in, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but when practiced as a ritual before action, it can change your entire biochemistry. I'll come back to why this matters more than you think. But first, let's explore another fascinating ritual used by performers you wouldn't expect. Let's circle back to that tactical breathing ritual used by Navy SEALs. Here's the crazy part. It's not just about calming nerves. Studies show it directly communicates with your vagus nerve, flipping your body into parasympathetic mode, the state of calm readiness. Imagine walking into a presentation, your heart pounding. Instead of telling yourself, calm down, you just breathe in that 4x4 pattern. Within 90 seconds, your body chemistry shifts. You go from chaos to clarity. And if you make that your ritual, every time before you perform, you're no longer at the mercy of your nerves. You own them. Now, I know what you're probably wondering. Do these rituals really matter in everyday life? The truth is, yes, maybe even more than for pros. Think about it. If rituals are powerful enough to steady a soldier before combat or calm an Olympian before a world record attempt, imagine what they could do for you before your job interview, your first date, or that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. And here's where I want to hit you with something counterintuitive. Sometimes the best rituals aren't about calming down, they're about ramping up. Tony Robbins, before he goes on stage, does a priming routine. It involves bouncing on a mini trampoline, forceful breathing, and clapping his hands while shouting. It looks wild, but it conditions his nervous system to explode with energy and confidence. Because here's the truth. Nerves and excitement are chemically almost identical. The difference is the story you tell yourself about the sensation. So the next time your stomach flips before a big moment, try reframing it. Instead of saying, I'm nervous, say, I'm excited. That small ritual of language shifts your body's interpretation of stress. And trust me, it works. Let me ask you, what's your biggest struggle with performance anxiety right now? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee you're not the only one dealing with it. And remember, no judgment. I've probably done worse under pressure. Which brings me to another invisible loop for you. Remember earlier when I said there's one ritual so deceptively simple it might shock you? Here's a hint. It involves your posture. Harvard researcher Amy Cuddy showed that just 2 minutes of standing in a power pose, like hands on your hips, chest open, could increase testosterone and lower cortisol. Critics debated the science later, but here's what's undeniable. The act of shifting your body shifts your state. That's why performers stretch, pose, or even strike a goofy stance backstage. It's not ego, it's chemistry. And I'll tell you in a moment how you can combine posture with breath for a ritual that's practically cheat code for confidence. But before that, let me drop a little reality check. Most of us spend more time preparing our slides, our notes, or our appearance than our state of mind. We obsess over the external while ignoring the internal. World-class performers flip that equation. Their slides don't win the meeting. Their state does. Their outfit doesn't win the stage. Their energy does. That's why rituals are non-negotiable. And here's the funny thing. Once you design your ritual, The actual steps don't matter as much as the consistency. Maybe your ritual is tying your shoes a certain way. Maybe it's taking 3 breaths. Maybe it's playing a song. The power isn't in the ritual itself. It's in teaching your brain. When I do this, I'm ready. Write this down so you don't just forget it after the video. Ritual creates readiness. That's your mantra. And I want you to take notes, not just listen. Passive watching is entertainment. Writing it down is transformation. Now let's go back to that combo move I promised. Posture plus breath. Here's how it works. Stand tall, open chest, feet grounded. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Repeat 3 times, it takes about a minute. But when you do it before your performance moment, you've anchored your body in power and your breath in calm. It's one of the fastest ways to hack your nervous system into readiness. Oh, and here's something I forgot to mention earlier. There's a ritual used by musicians before concerts that could double your focus instantly. I'll tell you that in another video, because it deserves its own breakdown. You'll want to subscribe so you don't miss it. So let's wrap this with one final story. When Usain Bolt stood at the starting line of the Olympics, he smiled, laughed, even joked with the crowd. To most people, it looked like arrogance. But it was ritual. That smile wasn't random. It was his signal to his body. I'm in control. I'm here to enjoy this. And then, in the blink of an eye, he was off, the fastest human alive. That's what rituals do. They anchor you. They free you. They remind you that nerves aren't the enemy. They're the entry fee for greatness. And the question is, what ritual will you build for yourself? Here's my challenge to you. Before your next high-pressure moment, create a 2-minute ritual. Something you do the same way every time. Maybe it's a phrase, a pose, a breath, a visualization. Then test it. Watch how your body responds. And if it changes your state, even 10 cent, you've just built a doorway into your best self. And if you learned something today, subscribe to Brain Unboxed. I've got more rituals, more science, and more real stories coming your way. Comment watching if you're still here. Because if you are, I know you're serious about this. And I'm taking notes on the real ones.